Yo everybody, what's going on? This is Keegan from Kman Reviews bringing you the next episode of Review Recall. This will cover a decent chunk of albums I listened to in September. Of course, I didn't get to every single album. A lot of the later ones that came out on the 30th I didn't really get to at all, so those will be covered in the October video, but let's not waste any more time. Let's just dive right in. Wow, I don't think I've cared for an album less. So Tania Joy is a Canadian folk kind of roots musician who's been making some decent waves in the Oshawa scene. This is her newest EP, and I just gotta say I'm very happy that she's taking this new lyrical direction, shifting away from traditional love songs and into more socially conscious content. And I think she does a really good job at it, plus it's enjoyable musically too. Winner winner, please give this some attention. Not a mind-blowing album at all, but if you have an itch for some good old soft folk music with an electronic garnish, give this a listen. So LANY is one of those bands I discovered back when I was really starting to get into music, and I actually have a very old review of their self-titled debut album from like way back in 2017. That one I'm extremely ashamed of. I figured I'd reintroduce myself to the band's music. This is their fourth album. And I gotta say, I really like how this one sounds. It's a bouncy synthetic pop experience, right up my alley. But while this may have style, it certainly doesn't have substance. A lot of the tracks kind of meld together. There's not many qualities here that really stand out. So sure, it's an enjoyable listen while it's on, but how much of it will you truly remember? Because for me, that number wasn't many. You may recognize No Posers Allowed if you watched my review of their album High Class Things. This is their latest collaborative EP that dropped while I was writing the script for that video. And my god, this is some quality, in my opinion much more consistent than High Class Things, and these two artists just work together so well. One word, heart. Fuck yes. Fuck. Okay. Good? Best thing they've done since Smoke and Mirrors. But my god, Cutthroat is still just a garbage song. This was really nice. Like, really nice. I adored this. It's unity, it's hope, optimism, soul, and life amidst such terrible trauma, fear, and adversity. There was just something so uplifting about this album. I completely expected this to be really boring, but much to my surprise, this was a very manic, unhinged storybook album. I think there were a few too many interludes and skits, and the album kind of started to drag a bit near the end. But I mean, a lot of this was actually really solid. I don't think I returned to it in full, but pretty much the entire opening leg was amazing. And then it just kind of slowly lost its way as it went on. I was very surprised with this. So Maisie Peters is a kind of Ed Sheeran protege. She's signed to his label, this is her debut album, and I'm very mixed on this one. It kind of has that gentle, serene bedroom pop feel to it, a style that I personally don't hate. But the content here is just cliche after cliche, appealing to that kind of lovesick teenager demographic. It's meh. I like the sound of it, but that's really all the praise I can give this album. I've always been just kind of mid on Jazz Cartier. There have even been times where I completely forgot him, and recording this video, I genuinely don't remember ever hearing this. Damn it, I wanted to like this more, truly and honestly. But this just felt very flat, one note, and just way too long. 18 tracks of the same desaturated pop music. It's nothing terrible, and I do think some of the production near the end is pretty good, but I'd be hard-pressed to try to remember like more than 5 songs on this album. Look, I know so many Maiden fans just want them to go back to Number of the Beast. I see it everywhere. I'm personally all for artists growing and experimenting, which is what Bruce Dickinson seemed to express with this new album here. And I didn't think it was bad, I just thought it was so mind-numbingly boring. I do like the title track though, that was a strong start, but the majority of this was just tedious to me. Lil Tecca has just been on a really unfortunate downhill slope ever since he released Ransom. His debut mixtape was fine, Virgo World was pretty mediocre, and there have been some scattered hits every now and then, but this is certainly bottom of the barrel. Just so forgettable. Aside from Repeat It with Gunna, that was a good song. But yeah, I had expectations and they were not matched. So I was first introduced to Wrabel through one of his singles that cracked into Canadian radio here, with that being 11 Blocks. A song that I refuse to believe came out in 2016, I swear that was made a few years earlier. But nonetheless, I've been keeping a pretty inattentive eye on him as he's been growing as an artist, and decided to check out this debut album of his out of sheer curiosity. And this is pretty solid. Definitely pretty chock full of ballads, both on the piano and acoustic side, and all of it just felt so bright, lovingly made, serene. It's just a really good listen. What you know about rolling down? Oh, sorry. I just kind of got the only memorable thing from this album stuck in my head. As much as I have expressed my disdain for a lot of modern electronic, Rudimental are one of the very few to defy my expectations, and this album is another example of that. Split into two parts, the first being a bit more traditional and familiar, the other being a bit more experimental, soulful, and kind of atmospheric. And both sides are consistently enjoyable. I do think as a whole listen it can be a bit long. 16 tracks, nearly an hour is a lot, at least for me, but it's still good to know that I can always return to this group if I need my electronic music fix. So LILHUDDY is an artist who blew up on TikTok. This is his debut album here. And I heard from a good YouTuber friend of mine that if you liked Machine Gun Kelly's Tickets to My Downfall, this might be for you, which if any of you saw my Best Albums of 2020 list, I did. So I had decent expectations going into this, and it's not terrible at all. I think a good handful of the instrumentals here are solid. However, where MGK's transition into pop-punk felt natural and genuine, this doesn't, like, at all. It almost feels like cashing in on a common trend just to sell. Plus, I just don't like his nasally, whiny voice in general. Sure, some of the tracks here were pretty catchy, and I especially enjoyed America's Sweetheart. But aside from those, I mean, I just thought it was kind of alright. Okay, I retract my statement about the Baby Keem album. I can't help but feel that this is the beginning of Billy Idol's slow evolution into country. And to be honest, I'm a little bit scared. Another month, another modern country album I don't give a shit about. This album has the exact same problem that Shiraz Lane's For Crying Out Loud does, where the instrumentals are very competent and enjoyable, but the vocalist prefers to stick to a shrill, glass-shattering scream rather than an actual singing voice. Not saying that it doesn't have those solid singing moments, because it sure does, much more of them than on For Crying Out Loud, but the tracks that don't really drag this album down. So look, this series is my first impressions on projects. I don't usually revisit an album for this series, so there have been a few select projects that I just don't really know where to start with, because I feel like I'm missing something that just doesn't come around on the first listen, and this is one of those albums. There's definitely something here, and I'm pretty sure this album is a grower over anything else, and I will share that if that's the case on my social medias, but right now, I guess I'm just so fascinated, impressed, but also extremely confused. Despite being a decently enjoyable pop rock listen, I'm surprised how little of this actually stuck with me. I mean, I'll keep the singles, but man, I thought I was going to rave about this more. Just a disappointing album. Damn it, Drake! I had this whole bit planned where your album was going to be terrible, and I was going to pretend to wake up and say that I had a dream that your album was good and it wasn't going to be good, but then you ended up probably dropping your best thing since Views, which is still honestly like a 5 out of 10 at best, but still, shame on you. So Yebba's been getting a lot of attention as of late on the previously mentioned Certified Lover Boy, but that's not where I first heard her. My first introduction was on Ed Sheeran's No. 6 Collaborations project from 2019, where she was on the track Best Part of Me, an easy highlight off that album. So with features from Ed Sheeran and Drake, along with having A$AP Rocky on this debut album, how did it turn out? Pretty damn great, if I'm being honest. I think what really sells her as an artist is the combination of eclectic genre fusions and passionate vocal performances with some genuine virtuosity. Really good album, and mark my words, she will be a really big name in the years coming. Jesus, EP is longer than the 7-track album they put out last year. Progressive rock, ladies and gentlemen, and it just so happens this one was a fun ride. You know, despite this album just being way too long and way too one-note sonically, I gotta say it's probably the most I've enjoyed Youngboy's music. I think he's actually getting better. So I saw several publications giving this pretty mid reviews, and all I have to say to that is what the fuck album did they listen to? Because I listened to an album of the year contender. Truly and utterly breathtaking. Yeah. God damn it, I hated this guy so much when I first heard him. Just some of the worst country of the modern era, and now he's actually put out a semi-decent EP. First Drake, now this guy, I don't even know what to believe anymore. Pretty solid K-pop outing here. Wasn't as crazy about this one in particular, definitely felt like it sagged in the middle, but overall, this is pretty good. Alright guys, and that is going to do it for this episode of Review Recall. I really hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and leave any of your opinions down there in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.